All right. Let's go. I'm excited about this episode. Hello, everyone. Thanks for all the great comments you guys have left on our previous episodes. And today we have another great podcast follow-up from the last one. Reggie, Chris, let's roll in.
Part 2, baby.
Let's roll.
Go.
Let's roll. Yeah, let's roll.
Okay. What's the first question?
Finish sharing a little bit about details about your first development.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk a little bit about that.
And this is basically the second episode of From Meter Reader to Developer.
Correct.
Okay? Just to help you out. Okay, so you have to realize that when this was all going on, and I'm assuming that you've listened to the first epi about this. I'm not going to review really anything because we got a lot to cover here. So you have to understand that when this was going on, I used my dining room table was my office. Okay? So I wrote all my own ads. I wrote out by hand all my checks, signed them all.
Wow.
Went through all my invoices. I was still selling, and I was doing development. Okay? My last year of selling, I sold $10 million worth of real estate my last year. And this was in 2003. So 23 years ago. Which today would be, I don't know, whatever, 20 or 30 million, okay? And still doing development and just kind of end. And finally I got into a situation where I needed a part-time person, which I was scared out of my mind to hire somebody and provide for their family. But we did it, and then everything kind of grew from there. But anyway, from the development side, how I was able to, this is an important piece of information because it wasn't something that we really had a chance to kind of get into. But how I was able to segue into development and yet still earn a living, because I was paying off all my debt, right, is I was still selling and making an income.
Okay.
I mean, the last year I sold, I made a couple $100,000 in commissions, and then, less, gross, and then I had my expenses. But I plowed everything back in, if you remember, into the debt. And so I didn't eat my babies, right? The richest man in Babylon, never eat the babies. Pay them Hummers off, man. And so we paid that off, and we were able to do that because we had other sources of income. And we were able to do that. And that's just so important into what we're talking about here. Because if you really want to grow your company, your net worth, your whatever it is you're trying to grow financially, right? You need to remember, Solomon said it best, and he said, basically, money grows little by little, right? Saving money grows little by little, but then over time, I'm just paraphrasing now, but over time, it becomes quite a bit larger because it compounds. Growth is in growth is in growth. Like if you have a $100,000 CD and you're getting 4%. Well, in the first year, it's worth $104,000. Well, the next year, it's worth $104,000 times 4%. And the next year, it's worth it just keeps going. It's that old adage, you want a penny, I can give you $1 million, or do you want a penny a day and double it every year or double it every day for 30 days? What do you end up with? Way more than $1 million.
Right.
Okay? It's the same thing. You compound and it grows, right? So it's just critical in the world that I live in, and really I think any small business especially, and that's really kind of who we're talking to today, right? A small business owner, somebody wants to try to be a small business owner. Man, don't eat the babies, man. Invest in yourself. Keep the job, keep the income, do the side hustle, pay off the equipment, pay off the trucks, pay off the supplies, pay off your inventory, whatever it is that you're doing, pay it off, pay it off, pay it off. Then the returns are just substantial. And the crazy thing is, you will not miss it. You're not going to miss the money that you're earning on the side hustle. Don't use it to live on. Live beneath your means and grow it organically. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So how did your first development kind of catapult into the next into your next opportunity in the development world?
Great question. Great question. So the first development, we had paid it off. And when the music stopped, so to speak, we were left with, we had 75 lots in the beginning, right? We had 30 left, zero debt. Roads were paid for, dirt was paid for, everything was paid for. Land, dirt, road, everything done, paid for. And that was almost, at that time, worth about $1 million worth of inventory, okay? So here's the thing about one of my quotes that's kind of interesting because it kind of segues into this, and that's this, that let me just find this here. Oh yeah. The day you stop trying to build a better mousetrap is the day a mouse takes your cheese. Right?
That's so.
It's
common sense.
it is, but it's not, because people don't think like that. And here's what I mean by that. So in 2003, okay, Prairie Meadows just crushing. We're doing well. Because I sold all these houses for the builder that I worked with at that time. I get 5% every time I sold a house. So just blowing it up, you know. And here's what's interesting is this is for realtors out there. 70% of the sales that I basically brought to the table that year from the builder, my sales. The average sale in existing inventory, in other words, if you had 100 listings, okay, new construction, 70 of those I'm selling myself. In existing, it's 17%. You're only going to sell 17% in existing.
That's correct.
But with new construction, 70% of the time, you're selling the unit. If you remember what happened in Iowa, who sold the most of the units? Shane did.
Shane.
Perfect example. Why? Because you know your product. Better than anybody. You know that product. Okay? So this is what happened. So there was a builder at that time. A couple guys got together. One of them owned the dirt. One of them was a builder. They combined. And they would go in and buy land and put up 4 families. 2 up, 2 down. Okay? These are condos. No. These are apartments. Oh, okay. They paid $215,000. They basically stole to the one guy for $215,000. Okay? So Tim, his builder, Tim sold to Bill a 4-family for $215,000. Okay? So Reggie comes in and says, hey, I'll buy a 4-family. Reggie buys a 4-family. What's Reggie do? He has 2 4-families. He says, hey, wait a minute. You know what? I'm going to make these condos. So all of a sudden Reggie says, okay, thank you. And he takes that and he sells each unit for $75,000. So Reggie took a product that he bought for $215,000, right? He sold it for bought it for $225,000, whatever it was. And he just sold it for $300,000, just like that. He sold 4 units, just like that. So what did he do? He took the mousetrap and he made a better mousetrap. And these builders and developers didn't even see that. They didn't even see that right in front of their eyes. And so I start kind of scouring around. I start looking around. I thought, I bet we could do that. And so I did a little project up in Roscoe, Illinois. And I had like 3 lots I bought. And my whole thing was always, if this doesn't work, I'll rent them. No big deal. So I bought 3 lots, 4-family, 2-family, 4-family. And I had an option on 5 more acres. Same thing. Hey, if they don't sell, I'll rent them. We sold them. I was talking to my buddy Keith the other day. Dude, we sold them for $89,900, $92,900, $99,900. And we made decent money, right? And I thought, okay, if this can work in Roscoe, Illinois, which is a very conservative market in terms of profit margins, our county that I live in, very small profit margins.
Very small, yeah.
Very small. Why don't I go in the suburbs? Why don't I go east towards Chicago? Sure, I'll pay for more dirt, but I bet I can make more money. So I start going to all these communities, looking around, kind of scoping out the market, finding out what prices are, and saying, oh, here's this property in Sycamore, Illinois, right? And so we land over there and I tie up some dirt. And at that time, this is insane money. I paid like $100,000 an acre for dirt, which was dumb, crazy money. But I did the math. I went and looked. I looked at the competition. The competition was, I call them billy goat units. This dude had like 3 stories, man. He had like bedrooms way up here, kitchen up here, garage down here. So you like a billy goat just to climb up there to get to your place. Mine had main level units and then mine had upper units, right? I thought, I bet I can make this work. And so I didn't know anything about building, right? I was just starting to learn the development game. So I got a hold of this guy, Rick. He's a builder. Okay, Rick, we can maybe do this together, right? And so he was a builder, I was a developer. He's got one piece of bread, I got the other piece of bread. The building's in the middle, and we mark it up and we make money, okay? So I'm talking to the bank, and the bank's got all my financials, because I was going to use my first project that was paid for as equity, right? They tied that up to buy the land. So I'd have to come up in cash. I use that as leverage, okay? So we get there, and like 3 weeks before closing, the bank calls me. 2 weeks before closing. They say, hey, Chris, got some good news for you and some bad news. I said, okay, let's hear the bad news. He said, well, we can't understand Rick's deal, what his finances are. So what do you mean? He said, well, my underwriter, my chief underwriter, they can't make sense of his financials. I said, really? He said, yeah, and his taxes, they're not done, okay, so we can't do the deal if Rick's involved. Really? You're kidding? No. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, this is the good news part. I said, what do you mean? He said, you've got 3 choices. 1, walk from the deal with Rick. Just walk, subject to financing, get your earnest money back, see you. 2, find another partner. That ain't never going to happen. 2 weeks before closing? 3, you can do the deal yourself. I'm like, huh? Yeah, you can do the deal yourself. Up to that time, I've never borrowed that kind of money before. It was scaring the daylights out of me, right? I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I need to think about that. And I knew a builder that would put up these 4 families for me, right? Mm-hmm. All I had to do was cut them up and condo them. No big deal. I had to put the roads in, curb, gutter, storm sewer, all that kind of, all that. And he calls me next day. He said, hey, Joe, what's going on? He said, Chris, I got some great news. I said, what's that? I took Dave down and showed him the project. Joe's my loan officer. Dave is head of the whole bank, commercial loan. He's like the head of all commercial loans, right? I said, okay, what did he say? He said, I'll never forget this. This is a banker. He says, this is a can't miss deal.
What?
I'm like, really?
That's crazy.
I'm like, okay. So the bank's telling me that.
Right.
They know way more than I do.
Risk.
I think I'm in good shape, but they're telling me, they're blessing it. Boom. Let's go. So I did it. I closed the property. I had the whole thing optioned. I had a certain amount that I bought to get started. And I bought all the land eventually. But what I didn't want to do was, if I was successful, which I thought I would be, I only want part of it. I didn't want somebody else to come in after me and just steal the whole deal.
Right.
And so we started rolling, man. We started going in there, and dude, we started the project in September, putting roads in and things like that. Well, by the time we're selling it, it's stinking winter. But we got this trailer, this construction trailer. We had our copier in there. It took a half hour for the copier to warm up. It was so cold in there. Had a little heater in there. My guy's out there in the middle of a field with a trailer with pictures and things up there, and he's selling. He's starting to sell a little bit, And it just took off, man. It took a while, and the momentum was ridiculous. It really carried us. We did 236 condos down there in 3 years. Crushed it. Just crushed it. And again, paid off the debt. Paid off the debt. Always paid off the debt. Paid off the roads, the water, the sewer, the curb, the gutter, the land. Paid everything off. In case something happened, which eventually it did, we'd be okay. And so that was a second deal.
So your first deal, you're kind of freaked out because these are numbers you've never taken out before on a loan.
No, correct.
So how do you go from that to surviving the Great Recession? How does that work? Because there's two unknowns.
It was tricky. It was very tricky. At the end, my guy was crushing the sales, okay? But at the end, it was no more going through Mickey D's, here's a contract, signing, give it back. No more of that. There's actually selling going on. You had to sell the product. We had you got to understand, we would get there, my excavator would get there at dark. And at the end of the day, we'd have 4 buildings dug by the end of the day. I mean, they were just smashing these buildings. We didn't do any pre-sales. We just spec'd them, and as fast as we put them up, they would sell. They would sell. And I kept 48 for my rentals, which helped us with this next part, okay? So we had that. We had another project we did in Sycamore. We had another project where I bought some lots. We had a really big project where I did something I'll never do again, took on a partner. We weren't equally yoked. Our moral compass was different. We weren't equally yoked. You know, it was just I was going after the deal. Greed grabbed me, you know. Made a lot of mistakes. At that time, you go back in time and you look, because I keep track of all my PFS, my personal financial statements. I have all those. Man, I got them from years, decades. I just see how I'm doing. I track it, right? You go back and look at that time, I had probably maybe 20% of income producing property. The rest, all speculative debt. Land, units that weren't sold, a couple spec homes that weren't sold, lots that were improved, fully improved. I mean, the one I had like $5-6 million worth of debt on it, and we sold a few lots, and we were just, everything just stopped, right? So how we survived that was really a couple of things. We have to tell you, some of the crummy stuff first. So we were very militant about paying our debt. We never, ever, ever, ever missed a payment. Never. We paid on everything. And at one time, we were advised that, we should BK, we should give them back. I'm very much trying to be honorable and honor my debts, and I signed that piece of paper. I need to be a man of my word. I need to honor my debts. Everybody else is just getting creamed, And so a couple things happened during all that. This went on from like 2007 to 2012. 5 years drought, man. It was so stinking brutal. I was on a brush hog, which is a big old mower that you see on the highways when the guys are cutting the highways, cutting the grass. Dude, I would be on one of them and cut lots for banks and make like $1,000. Or I'd sell Ryan a piece of granite and make $500. Or I'd sell you a hardwood floor and make like $300. I was just scraping to survive. And we were down to one person then. We had only one person working for us then. I had laid everybody off. And the banks, man, they were brutal. They were brutal. So my lead banker, okay, we would go to lunch once in a while, okay? The one loan that I had was, I told you $5-6 million. They called me and they said, hey, you have a situation. I said, what's that? Said, you need to make, I'm just going to make up a name, you need to make Fred's payment for him. I said, I ain't doing that.
What?
Well, you got 3 choices. I said, what's that? He said, well, you got to make Fred's payment. I ain't doing that. You got to buy Fred out. Well, I ain't doing that. If the property's worth about 25% of what it was before, a year ago, you know. Or, basically, we're going to take your house. I'm like, what? Yeah, we're taking your house. What are you talking about? Well, you have the assets. You have the balance sheet. We're coming to get you. Those are your choices. I'm like, well, I don't like none of them choices. You know, you said we want to try to work with you, blah, blah, blah. So what ended up happening is I negotiated, you know, I had to buy Fred out. And I bought Fred out, and they gave me a loan for his part and my part. We negotiated 0% interest for like, I think it was like 2 years, no principal. And I had to pay in that thing. I had to pay in that loan until 2021. I paid that loan until 2021. And that's a whole other episode of honoring your debt and making things right. And, you know, really honoring God by doing that. Anyway, so we're going through that. And time's kind of ticking. And Joe and I would go into meetings. We meet once a 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And things were really getting pressed, right? Everybody's getting pressed. Guys are coming in and giving keys to properties. They're giving deeds in lieu of foreclosure, land, lots, all of them. They're just folding like crazy. And Joe calls me and says, hey, let's get together for lunch. Okay. So we get together for lunch, and I thought we were going to talk about, okay, you know, just typical business, right? We get together for lunch, and I'm like, where's Joe? Our usual spot, where's Joe? Chris, in here. Well, I go in there, and here's Joe. And here's Dave. They can't miss Neil Dave. Here they are in a separate room wanting to talk to me.
Okay.
And so I go in there and they just start yamming on me, you know, just like, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this.
Serious?
And how are you going to pay this, and how are you going to pay that? And I'm like, okay. You guys are catching me off guard. You know, I am not prepared to discuss this. You know? And so I decided to sit down. I said, give me a week. So there's a salesmanship in me, right? So I said, okay, let's meet. This time, you come to my office, my turf. And so I had 2 files. I took one file, and I had all my things to do list that I used. I just jammed them in there. Okay, had that file. Then I had another smaller file. Joe doesn't even know this. If he listens to this, he'll crack up. So Joe doesn't even know this. So the other file was, okay, this is what we're going to work out. Right? Here's my plan. So I get in there. I said, okay, I have 2 files. This one here, the thick one. This is if, you know, we can't work things out. You guys can take the property back. It's yours. Just, you know, go ahead. Or this is the one that we can work things out. No, let's just talk about the one we can work things out. Okay. And so we negotiated and we worked it out, you know. I just basically called their bluff. You have to realize, and this will be an episode for the future. I mean, I won't necessarily see in my lifetime another weirdness like we had then, if ever. Maybe nobody will, but there will be a correction. And when there's a correction, the one thing banks hate, property. They don't want to own property.
They don't want to own the property.
They don't want to own property. They want it gone.
Right. Off their balance.
So you have to remember that. You'll make more money in a down market than a thriving market. Because rule number 1, when do you make your money? On the buy.
On the buy.
On the buy. Okay? So that happened. Okay, took care of that. The next one, a bank got taken over by the FDIC. Okay? I had these 48 rentals, right? I had like 39 left at that time. Okay? Making payments, they're cash flowing, I'm making money, no problem. Loan comes due. The bank says, Chris, you need to get another loan. Because we want you out of the bank. So we have 100 loans. Yours is the only one performing. We have 100 development loans. Yours is the only one performing, and guess what? The bank doesn't care.
What?
All these loans, gone. We want them out. Go get refinancing somewhere else. Or we're going to foreclose on you. And this is my biggest asset. This is my biggest asset that I have the most equity in. So I thought, right? And of course, dude, I feel like about this big, you know? I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. All this time I've worked, I'm scraping, I'm trying to just get out of this mess, you know? And he said, I'm sorry, we don't care. We don't care. And that, by the way, I'm gonna call them out. That's BMO, Bank of Montreal, a Canadian bank. Took over this loan. Like, screw you guys, man, Canadian bank. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do, you know? So I'm down there on the property one day, and I'm thinking, I need to call. It's like, you know, it's like the spirit tickled in my head. I need to call Mike. Mike is a commercial real estate broker. He understands investment property. I got these investment properties. I wonder what they're really worth. You know, the bank was telling me I only had like 300 grand equity, 400 grand equity. I'm like, come on, man, no way. You know, that would have given me like a 1 year burn rate. Burn rate meaning 1 year, I'm done.
Right.
I'm down in the crater, man. House is gone. Everything gone. Gone. And by that time, fall back a little bit, by that time, I was starting to fret more. You know, I hadn't been praying about money. It was one of my rules. I'm never going to pray about money because I don't want money to be basically my God. Money cannot come between God and I. And so I started getting sweating. And finally I woke up, I said one day, I said, okay, God, here's the deal. Kids have been raised here. Man, we have some great times in this house. If I lose the house, I lose the house. So what? I'm not letting anything come between you and I. I let it go. 2 weeks later, I get this tickle in my brain. Call Mike. I'm like, Mike, what do you think these properties are worth? Chris, those have fireplaces, right? Yeah. Those are like granite, yeah. Those are nice properties. Yeah. X, he tells me. Okay. This is in September. Okay? We sold it and we closed July 31st of 2013. And my whole world completely changed. Completely changed. I took half the equity. I said, okay, here's my safety net. Here's my security. Took the other half, formed a new company, started playing Monopoly again. Except this time, totally different. This other company I formed, no debt. I bought lots, fully improved subdivisions from banks. Okay? Fully improved subdivisions from banks. And at one time, we had 250 lots that we owned outright with no debt. Yeah, off that one sale. I just redid everything, redid our whole company. Right now, to this day, I'm ahead of myself, but this day, I have about 10% debt that is not income producing, if that. The rest is all rental properties. Change everything. Change everything. So that's how we survived. And it's just, again, you got to pivot, you know? You got to pivot. When you're getting lemons thrown at you, you got to pivot. So that's kind of what happened, how we survived the Great Recession. And as I said in a previous talk, at one time we were the only we were the only borrower in the bank. And this is a several billion-dollar bank.
Crazy.
They were loaning money to First Back Homes because we had such a good financial statement, you know, and we paid our bills, you know.
Wow. So are you only doing stuff in Northern Illinois, or do you have other properties or other opportunities in other states?
Yeah, we started obviously in Northern Illinois. That's where I'm at. That's my home base. But we just finished a project in Iowa, over in Bettendorf, the Quad Cities, hour and 45 minutes from town, from where we are, and we crushed 184 condos, villas, attached in like 4 years. And I have some rentals over there now. And yeah, we did really, really well. Yeah. All total, I think that was, well, I don't want to get all the number apart. That's that's another story. But we did well there, yeah. And we're pursuing other things over there too.
Do you think? Or let me get this right. So you guys have grown.
Can you hold your question? Can you write it down or something for a minute?
I'm holding it.
Okay. It's important to know this is part of all of this, right? 70% of our contractors that we use for Iowa, 60%, 7% drove an hour and 45 minutes one way to work on our projects. Why? Loyalty. Loyalty, we pay our bills, reputation, unity, teamwork, all of it. So important. You have good teammates. So important. Subcontractors, salespeople, project managers, backroom, service, assistants. June's my right hand, my assistant, coming up, I think she's 18 years with me. I mean, just amazing. It's so important that you have that loyalty because, man, that's where it's at. They know you know them, you can connect and you can build a company together,
Has anything changed strategy or methodology wise since you guys have gotten substantially bigger?
No.
Stayed the same?
No. It's actually made more improvements, paid down more debt. And what I mean by that is this. Now, I had a loan where we bought 120 acres that I paid off in literally 1 year. Paid the dirt off in 1 year. I just paid it off in a little over a year ago. To the day. It was like almost to the day. The bank was just blown away. And again, I don't take the profits. I plow back into the company. That's how we grow it. And now I'm doing a project where we own the dirt. I pay for all the improvements now, out of cash flow. So now I paid for the dirt. I paid for the water, the sewer, the storm sewer, the curb, the gutter, all the stone, all the asphalt, out of cash flow. As you sell things, you just plow it back into the company. Because I live way beneath our means. There's no reason to just keep eating the profits, That's super important. And we just bought another piece that we're in the process, we closed on it in July, and we're in the process of getting it, what's called basically rezoned and platted. It's already zoned. We're going to change a couple things. I expect to have that one kind of up and running sometime in maybe April. But same thing, own the dirt. And I'm trying to see if I can have enough reserve to kind of pay for the improvements on that one.
So is that
we'll
your new way of doing business?
If I can pull it off, yeah. Because then when you sell something, man, you get a lot more money. You get all your land back, you get all your improvements back, you get your profit back. You just plow that and do it bigger, So that's kind of one of our new ways of expanding, but yet controlling the growth, not just growing for the sake of growing. And the other thing too is you don't take all the deals. I mean, some deals, they don't happen, not because of anything necessary that you do or have not done, but sometimes municipalities, cities, villages, towns, they don't want it.
Right.
They get nasty and citizens come out and, it's like, okay, you don't want me, that's no problem. We'll go elsewhere. Right. We only go where we're wanted. We got somebody now that calls me, talks to me once every 2 weeks. Call me over Thanksgiving, I saw him at our Christmas party. He came in and he's somebody that's pushing really hard for a project that we have. It's already zoned. Very, very large project, very scary in a lot of ways to me. But I think we're gonna, might move forward on it, but a lot of things have to fall in place. I told him what they are and he's making the dominoes fall, so we'll see. But yeah, you wanna go where you're wanted, man. You don't wanna go where you gotta fight with people. It's just not worth it,
So when is enough enough?
That's a good question. I think that another thing that we're doing is a little different before I answer that is we will build new rentals, right? And let's say there's my red pen. You can see that. These are for sale. These are for rent. Here's your road. Okay? We use this to derive income, to, pay our overhead, new opportunities. We keep these a year. Then we sell these and we add them to this HOA. And then we pay capital gains instead of ordinary income. We cut our tax bill almost half by doing that. That's our new business plan, to do that, anything multi. I think the new way of doing business, though, is for us to sell these, rent these. If you're driving down the road, you'd never know which ones are rentals and which ones are selling. And take these after a year, we put them over here into an HOA, and then we sell those, and we cut our tax bill almost half, which is, pretty substantial. So we want to do that as much as we can. Anything multifamily, 100% we're doing that. 100%, 100%, 100%.
Okay.
We're doing that. And what's ironic, the extra bonus to that is, right now we have 18 units in the complex. We're going to start selling those, really, I think the sign's going up any day. We're going to start selling those. We have five out of the 18 sold to tenants that live there.
Get
want to buy
out
them.
of here.
No.
That's even
So built-in
better.
sale. Built-in sale. Yeah. Built-in sale.
You don't have to go look for other people.
No. Built-in sale. They already know it. They already love it. They love us. Boom.
Yeah.
Done. Easy. We had one guy that, now we're telling people, hey, by the way, because we send our notices out, right? Like January 15th. Anything that's coming due at the end of February, we're sending you a notice. And by the way, if you want to buy it, here's the price. Big guy calls and immediately says, yeah, I'm a cash buyer. I can close right away. He's a builder in like South Carolina. Like, dude, really? You can't wait. We got to wait to close. Well, no, I want to close now. Well, I got to wait for the year. You got like 45 more days. I called my accountant. I said, are you sure it's only got to wait one? Chris, it's only 1 day. So if he closed on July 1st, moved in July 1st, on July 2nd, you can close. I did. 1 day. 1 day. Cash buyer. Boom. Done. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
That's the best, man.
take advantage of the system.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when is enough? Because it seems like you have a pretty good system.
I think enough is enough is when it consumes you. With me, I can be a deal junkie, right? I love the deals. I love it's just a lot of fun for me. But at the same time, I've committed here in another 4 months or so, I'm going to be down to 4 days. Maybe 3. 400%. So that means 2 things have to happen. I got to have like A+ people, right? Or I got to really smash it in 4 days. I got to take 5.5 days and smash it into 4. And so I'll be doing a combo mainly geared toward the A+ team. You have to realize that we've got, I'll just name them. We've got Tom, who does, in charge of all our framing. He's my partner in the custom business, Tom, his brother. And Tom does in charge of all our framing. Just phenomenal, okay? He does a little bit of expediting, but mainly he's doing the framing, right? Making sure that we're doing a good job. Dan, his brother, does project management. He's just ridiculous. You go to Cleveland, Cleveland, Ohio, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you're going to see his name up there under construction. I mean, he is in the Hall of Fame. He's just brilliant, right? And then there's June, who's my right hand, who is just absurd. She's just way above everybody, right? She don't want to get into too many details about what she does because you gotta be careful. I'm like stealing her. No, but she's just great.
Yeah, June's awesome.
And we got a couple of those in the band too that are kind of starting to come up. Sarah's doing a great job. Carmen just started with us, so we got people that are behind them, and that's the key. I mean, I go away on some of these trips for Hope and Equip, and sometimes I'm gone for 10 days, 12 days. I don't call in, I don't check in. When I come back, it's just no problem,
That's how it's supposed to be.
That's the key, So I think enough is you have to be really, really careful and balance, the money, the time, the time with zero, all the giving, all the talent, the time, talent, treasure. You have to kind of work through all that. And it's a challenge, it can be a challenge, but hey, you know, you have to just be really humble about it and make sure you hold true to your mission, right?
Yeah.
Because all this stuff is just temporary.
That's true.
It's just temporary.
So
The real stuff's up top, upstairs, you know?
So if you're smashing days together and only working certain, are you taking on new projects then? How are you gonna do that?
I don't know. I'm taking on new. I'm going to build out a couple that I have that are. One of them is like a 7 to 10 year project, probably. Maybe a little less. I might take on some smaller stuff because it's just too easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too easy. You know, little 5-10 acre things. You know, too easy. But the larger stuff. If I end up doing this one project, which I'm leaning towards, it'll be by far the biggest project I've ever done. By far. But I got worked some of the kinks out in it already, so we just have to kind of work together and make sure it falls in line with some of our methodology, some of our thinking, the way we want to do things, you know. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, definitely some great nuggets today. Learned a lot personally, and I'm hoping that the viewers, the audience, kind of felt the same way I'm feeling every time I'm hearing you talk.
Good deal, man. What are you feeling?
I would say I'm feeling the sense of getting some more into real estate.
Empowerment.
In 2026.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Don't eat the babies.
Don't eat the baby. That's right.
Don't eat the babies, baby. Don't eat the babies, baby.
Yeah. So appreciate you guys for tuning in.
Thanks
See you
for
guys
listening.
next week.